There is something fascinating about seeing our ordinary world from the point of view of a tiny creature. There have been many movies about it, most of them animations, Toy Story being the most famous one, and also perhaps not as many as the movies, there has been a good number of games that have similar premises. It Takes Two, a game I played earlier this year, easily comes to mind. It has that familiar setup of humans shrinking down to tiny sizes and needing to get back to being human-sized again by overcoming challenges that ordinary human world things pose simply because the human has shrunk down. The game being exclusively co-op and taking liberties afforded by its fantastical elements utilizes this setup in its fullest and brings to light a whole other way of seeing the ordinary human world around us. While It Takes Two is a complex game with a constant supply of novelty and curveballs, what TinyKin does with a similar premise of little people in big worlds but with super simple mechanisms is pretty astounding. In this 2022 game, you play as Melodine, a human from a planet called Aegis who realizes that humans must have originated from a different planet and sets out on an expedition to find the origin story of humanity. But instead he crash lands on a strange planet where bugs rule over a world that seems very similar to the human world of the 1990s. In this world, you are resuscitated by a bug named Ridme, who notices that these tiny creatures called TinyKin are strangely attracted to you, and thus he guides you to use these TinyKins to retrieve some unique items to put together a device that would help you to get back to your planet. The fundamental gameplay loop of TinyKin is surprisingly simple yet surprisingly addictive, which remains fun all throughout its 5 hours journey. It's a collectathon where you have to comb through a level to collect these TinyKins to then use them to open areas, move objects, and collect other items. You can walk around, jump, surf with your soapboard, and glide with your bubble. The starting level has only one type of these TinyKins, but then as you progress, you get introduced to new types of them through these cute cutscenes. The purple ones lift and move things, the red ones are throwable grenades, green ones can be stacked to create ladders, blue ones can be used to transfer electricity from place to place, and the yellow ones can get together to build bridges. Two things that immediately impressed me about the game is how smooth and enjoyable the controls feel, and how the game wastes no time and puts you in action right away. All the living creatures are 2D in this otherwise 3D world, which not only gives the game a unique look, but also kind of thematically goes with the story quite well. The level design is exceptionally well done, both from an aesthetic and a design point of view. For a human world that is devoid of any human presence, the levels feel surprisingly lived in. Not by humans, by the bugs. The way these tiny bugs seem to have fashioned this gigantic world into tiny little livable spaces for themselves is very, for lack of a better word, realistic. From the get-go, you get a sense that although the rooms in which the levels take place were certainly built by humans for human usage, they definitely haven't lived in these places in a long time. The bugs, therefore, have kind of terraformed these rooms to make these places their own. So there's a fantastic mix of familiar, nostalgic human elements and innovative problem solving by the bugs, which speaks a lot about the creativity of the developers. At first glance, the game might give off a vibe that there isn't much there in terms of a narrative, but I was surprised to see how much of writing there actually is. Pretty much every single living thing you encounter in the levels have dialogues that tell you more about this world and its tiny inhabitants. While each level has a primary objective, you'd also find side quests by simply talking to NPCs scattered all around. These side quests are blended with the main quest of each level in a way that oftentimes you don't feel any distinction between the main or side objectives, showing that the developers took equal care about each type of quest. There is no combat and no real fail state or a sense of risk. Yes, if you touch water or fall from a great height, you quote-unquote fail, but are immediately brought back to where you were with no penalty at all. I appreciate the game not having any unnecessary stakes or runbacks or any meaningless tasks to artificially increase its runtime, which seems to be a core aspect aspect of the design philosophy of the game. Each level is a tiny open world and you can complete tasks and collect things in whatever order you prefer. The more of a level you explore, the faster you can move between key places within it, since you'll be opening shortcuts as you move. This removes any sense of tedium from the exploration part of the gameplay, and coupled with the excellent traversal controls, cruising throughout a level multiple times in order to collect every single thing never feels like a chore. It is a short game, but every moment of its short runtime is highly polished and there is a handcrafted feel about it in every aspect. I'd much rather take a shorter game that is this enjoyable over a longer game full of boring busy work any day, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. The platforming by design is also not challenging at all. In fact, the game even straight up tells you how many bubbles you need to have upgraded to be able to glide to a certain mission critical point, so that you don't waste your time if you haven't upgraded your bubbles yet. Although on paper this lack of no risk and no challenge might look like the game would be pretty boring, but the addictiveness of the gameplay comes from the fact that it's just designed in a way that makes you want to sweep every corner of a level to make sure you leave nothing uncollected. Kind of like how Power Wash Simulator makes you feel about leaving nothing untouched. No matter where you go, there's always something to get, and thus exploration never feels worthless. The gameplay is centered around seeing collectibles floating all throughout a level and feeling an urge to wipe the whole level clean by collecting all of them. And this formula works so successfully because of the perfect game feel that you get while controlling this character. Overall, I'm totally impressed by TinyKin. I honestly don't have any complaint or even any feedback really. It runs super smooth, doesn't overstay its welcome, and I can't think of any moment in my playthrough where I was feeling bored or felt that any aspect of the game needs any particular improvement. Does that mean it's a perfect game? No, because I guess nothing is perfect, but I just think this game succeeded to become what it set out to become, and thus for me, it was a great time from start to finish. No matter what kind of a gamer you are, I wholeheartedly recommend TinyKin to you.